everyone, hope you're all keeping safe and well. Thought I'd put another class together for you so you can keep mobile motivated. So we're going to get going straight away this morning. Let's start off with our posture. All four corners of the feet evenly distributed on the floor, knees slightly soft, hips, pelvis, spine, nice neutral alignment. Chest is open, shoulders are down and away from the ears, chin is centred and parallel to the floor. Quickly go through our breathing as always. Take your hands towards the side of the rib cage. We're going to take a nice deep breath in. Engage that core, which means pull that belly button slightly towards the spine. And then as you breathe out, try and keep hold of that core engagement by about 30%. Let's do that again. Take a deep breath in. Engage that core. This time, pull the pelvic floor up to meet that belly button. And again, as you breathe out, try and hold on to that by about 30%. We're going to keep that core engagement as we drop the arms back down by the side, and then we're going to start by mobilising. So let's start by mobilising the top part of the spine. Keep the core engaged. Take a deep breath in, and as you breathe out, turn your head towards the right. Keep the shoulders facing forwards. Take a deep breath in. As you breathe out, go round towards the left. And again, all the way back round towards the right for me. And then one more time, all the way back round towards the left. This time, drop that chin down here and circle, feeling the creaks and cracks in the back of the neck. Keeping that core engaged, go back the other way. Mobilising top part of the spine is really important. Drop that chin towards the chest, circle towards the right there, and then come all the way back round towards the left. We're going to bring that chin back towards the centre. Drop your chin down towards your chest. Take a deep breath in, and as you breathe out, lead with the chin up towards the ceiling. All the way back down again towards the chest, and then one more time, all the way back up towards the ceiling. Then bring that chin back towards the centre. We're going to move on to our shoulders. So rolling them shoulders forwards, keeping that core engaged, thinking about that nice strong posture. We're then going to go back the other way. Trying to move them shoulders away from the ears if possible. And keeping that core engagement, we're going to start to lift up through the elbows without arching that back there. Just moving through them shoulder joints. And then if possible, go up into a nice big stretch. Breathe in at the bottom, breathe out as you lift. Pull that belly button towards the spine. Keeping that core engaged as you do it. Bringing them arms back down by your side. Now, right arm comes forwards first, then the left. Nice, long, strong arm. Trying to keep the hips facing forwards. We're moving into the middle part of the spine here as we go into that bend and stretch. Lengthen across. Think about that strong body. And then if you can, we're going to take the arm up above the head, lengthening up nice and long to move into the waist and the lower spine. With that right arm, take it over and hold. Now feel this stretch here through the side of the waist. Arm comes back down by the side, lengthen it all the way over the head. Sliding that hand down the side of this leg here to try and increase the stretch, but thinking about that nice strong posture so we don't put any stress on that lower back. Just moving through that waist and that lower spine. And then bring that arm back down for me. So going back to them shoulders again, you might want to bring them feet in a little bit closer. Then go back the other way, set them shoulders down and away from the ears. Think about your posture here as you start to lift up through the elbows. Try not to arch that back, keep the belly button pulled in. And then if possible, go up into that nice long strong arm. Breathe in at the bottom. Breathe out as you lift, pulling that belly button towards the spine slightly. Then with the left arm this time, we're going to bring the left arm forward, then the right. Nice long strong arm here. Using that middle part of the spine to get that moving. And then go into that bend and stretch. Lengthen across. Nice long strong arm, remember. You can stay with this. Or if you want to, remember, you can take it up above the head, lengthening up nice and long, using that waist here and that lower spine. Then with the left arm this time, take it over and hold. Reach that little bit further to increase the stretch if you want to. Arm comes back by the side, take it all the way back over. Sliding this hand down the side of the leg, thinking about our strong posture. We're just trying to increase this stretch nice and gradually. 2 to go if you can. Lengthening across there, and then bring them arms back by the side. Now the feet want to come in a little bit closer, facing forward. Want to keep the heels on the floor. Hips and knees this time. We're going to sit down into the squat, lengthening them nice long arms forwards to still mobilise the shoulders. Sitting back into the heels to lengthen the back of the leg but get them hips and knees moving. And then if you can, we're going to go into a knee raise. So right leg comes up first, then the left. Pull that belly button towards the spine. Trying to lift that knee up to hip height if you can. No worries if not. And then with the right leg, take it up and hold. Now, if your balance isn't good, you can leave it on the floor. If you can lift it, great. Think about the core engagement. We're going to extend the leg forward, come back in. Nice, long, strong leg there. Trying to hold on to the balance. Extend and hold, take it lower if you can't, and then take that leg behind to open up the hip and pelvis. Then if possible, keeping that core engaged, bring that leg forwards again. Remember, if the balance isn't there, lower the foot towards the floor. You can even use the wall if you need to. Then this time again, extend and hold all the way towards the back to open up that hip and pelvis. Let's do that one more time. Bring that knee through, extend again. Nice, long, strong leg there. Core's engaged. Extend and hold, opening up that hip and pelvis, and then place that foot towards the floor. Now keep that nice, strong body as we start to bend through them knees. Trying to mobilise them hips and knees, remember. And if you want to, you can bring in that balance again by bringing that knee forwards as you come up. Make sure you land at the back there with a bent knee. We don't want to put any stress on the joints. Think about that strong core engagement. One more time, and then bring them feet back down. So let's go back into that squat. We're going to do the other leg, keeping it all sides equal for me when we're doing this mobilisation. Heels are on the floor, remember. Nice, long, strong arms. One more just squatting, and then left leg this time comes up first. Bring that knee up in front. Keep the core engaged. If you can't bring the knee up as high, don't worry. Remember, we are using our core engagement, and then the left leg comes up. If you find that you haven't got the balance, remember, pop it towards the floor. If you can lift it, great. We're going to extend forwards, come back in. Nice, long, strong thigh there. Thinking about this strong position through the middle. Extend and hold. Go all the way towards the back. So bringing that leg through again. Nice, long, strong leg. Use that thigh muscle. Think about this strength. If you lose your balance, pop it towards the floor. Leg goes behind again, opening up that hip and pelvis. One more time, bring it through. Nice, long, strong leg there. Really trying to mobilise all of our joints before we get going. All the way round towards the back again. Oops. Place that foot on the floor, and then remember we're going into them knee bends here. You can stick with this, you don't have to progress, it's entirely up to you. But if you do want to progress, remember, we're going to bring that balance back in as the knee comes forwards. Try and soften that knee as you land behind there. Try and keep the chest lifted. 2 to go. And then bring them feet back in line. So the last one is for our feet and ankles. Remember, we've got our core engagement. Then if you can, coming up through them heels, hold it here. We're going to bend, lower, come back up. Raise up through the heels, soften the knees, lower them heels, come back up. If you can't do this, then stick to what I just showed you. Oops. One more time, lift up, bend, lower the heels, come back up. And then the last one, if you can, come up towards them heels lifted and then go into that alternate stretch through the feet there. We get very stiff and very tight through the arch of our foot and then release. Last one is for our spinal stretch. We're going to come to the end of our mat. So we're going to go into our roll down here to get towards the floor. This stretches the whole of the spine. Please remember that if you haven't done Pilates for a while or you do have a few issues with the lower back, do go down in stages because it helps to ease the back into it. If you don't want to go all the way to the floor, you do what you can do, okay? So feet are hip width apart, shoulders are away from the ears. Let's think about the core engagement. Breathing in, you're going to drop your chin. As you breathe out, pull the belly button towards the spine, keep the chin in, slide down towards your knees. Now if that's enough for you, that's absolutely fine. Keep that belly button pulled in, take a deep breath in, and as you breathe out, start to pull up through the pelvic floor, as well as keep that core engaged, and then head comes up last. Let's see if we can go a little bit further. It's entirely up to you. Dropping that chin as you breathe in. As you breathe out, pull the belly button towards the spine. Slide the hands towards the shins this time. You may need to soften the knees to take the pressure out of the back. It's entirely up to you. Remember, belly button's pulled in. Take a deep breath in again, and as you breathe out, pull up through that pelvic floor. That helps to keep the strength through the front of the body and take the pressure off the lower back. Remember, you go to where you feel comfortable. This time we're going to try to get towards the floor. Let's drop our chin towards our chest. As you breathe out, pull the belly button in. Slide the hands towards the floor. If you can't reach the floor, just soften your knees there for me. Having them fingertips resting will help take the stress out of the back. And if you need to, keep the knees soft as you come back up, if that helps you. Pull up through the pelvic floor. Use that core engagement and then bring them shoulders away from the ears. We're going to do one more to get to the floor here. Let's drop our chin as we breathe in. As we breathe out, pull the belly button in. Slide them hands towards the floor. Keep that belly button pulled in. Remember, you can soften the knees. And then I'm going to ask you just to walk yourself forwards on the mat. So we're going to start off with our 3/4 plank. We did that in our last class. And I just want to run through it again to make sure we're all doing it correctly. So if you can, we're going to try and progress. If not, you're going to stick to the basics. So remember, elbows are directly underneath the shoulder. You've got that nice, long, strong spine and the head's in a nice neutral position. We're going to keep the core engaged the whole time if possible, and just keep them hands nice and relaxed. All we're going to do to start with is take that deep breath in, and as we breathe out, we're going to pull our belly button and spine towards the ceiling. As we do this, we tilt that pelvis forwards, and then you find that the hips and thighs generally rest towards the floor. If you can do that, pull up through the pelvic floor and squeeze the bottom. Breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth here. Try and make sure you keep that head in line with the spine for me. We've already engaged our core muscles here. You may even feel like you're starting to shake. That's absolutely fine. Do use that breathing for me and then release. So you can stick to this basic or you can try and progress it. Remember, you do what feels right for you. So we're going to keep hold of that core engagement the whole way through. Let's take a deep breath in. As we breathe out, lift up through that belly button and spine. Pull up through that pelvic floor and squeeze the bottom. Now keep this strong position. Don't drop down through the tummy. Take a deep breath in, and as you breathe out, lift away from them hips and thighs. Now you might find when you do this, it puts a bit of stress towards the lower back. Just pull up a little bit higher, pulling that belly button towards the spine, and you may find again, as I say, you're going to start to shake. Try and use that breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. If you find this puts too much stress on your lower back, do feel free to drop back down to the basic. But if you can keep it in that strong position, try and make sure it's the core you're using and not the lower back. So coming back towards the floor, we've got another progression, remember, if you want it. You don't have to do it, you do what feels right for you. But if you do want to progress to that full plank, take a deep breath in, and as you breathe out, lift that belly button and spine. Pull up through the pelvic floor. Keep the head in line with the spine for me if you can. As you breathe out again, you're going to lift from them hips and thighs. If that is too much for you, remember, just try and practice this position. Don't go any further. If you want to go further, you tuck them toes under. And as you breathe out, you come up into that nice, long, strong plank. Now, you're going to stay with that if you can do it. I'm going to drop back down towards the knees to make sure that people are doing what feels right for them. Keeping that core engaged, take the pressure out of the lower back. If not, remember, you go back towards the floor. And then you can come back down towards the floor and release. So we're going to go into our lower back stretch before we move on. So let's just sit back into child pose. Leave them arms forwards. See if you can walk yourself back to get your bottom towards your feet. Keep the belly button pulled in and really try and get the stretch through the back and possibly the back of the legs. You may feel it as well. This is a lovely stretch for us to move on. And we're going to go up onto our hands and knees here to go into some core and balance work. So we're going on to our hands and knees here. We're going to do some core and some balance work. This one we need to make sure we keep our core engaged. What we don't want to work with is an arched back like this. Just pull the belly button towards the spine. Make sure the hands are directly underneath the chest and shoulder here. And all we're going to do is start with our opposite arm and leg. So we're going to breathe in to prepare, and as we breathe out, we're going to lift the right arm and left leg here. What we don't want to do is this, drop down through the body, keep it up nice and strong. Really lengthen that arm for me if you can, and then come back towards the start. Other arm and leg here comes up, keeping that core engaged, and notice that my head stays in line with my spine. I'm not looking forwards and hyperextending my neck. I'm really trying to keep that in a nice, long, strong line. Core's engaged the whole time. Breathe in to prepare. Breathe out as you lift. One more on each side for me if you can. And then we're going to focus on just one side. Now, if possible, we're going to take our right arm and left leg up and hold. Get that head in line with the spine, core engaged. Breathing in, you're going to lower. Breathing out, you're going to lift. We call these Superman taps. They work on hip mobilization, shoulder mobilization, core and balance. Breathe in as you lower, breathe out as you lift. Really trying to make that work. And if you want to progress, you can take that arm up and hold. If possible, bring the knee towards the chest. Extend the arm and leg out nice and long. It is a balance exercise. Try not to drop down through that tummy and try and keep that arm lifted as you do this. Head's in line with the spine, remember. One more for me. And then release. So let's go to the other side, meaning we're going to start with the left, going back to the Superman. So breathe in to prepare, breathe out as the left arm and right leg comes up, and then come back towards the start, changing to the other side. Head in line with the spine, core's engaged, breathe in to prepare, breathe out as you lift, really try and make that work. If you do struggle with them wrists, you can always take that into a fist-like position, so it takes the pressure out of the wrist. And then if you can, take that left arm and right leg up and hold. Keep the core engaged, head in line with the spine. Breathe in as you lower, breathe out as you lift. Think about that core engagement. We're lengthening through the front of that hip. We're working on that bottom and lower back, bringing in the core and balance, and also working through that shoulder mobility. 2 to go. If you're not going to progress, you're going to stay with this, or you're going to take it up and hold. Knee comes in, extend away. Keeping that back in that strong position. Trying to keep that arm lifted for me. If it gets too much, go back to the taps there. You do what feels right for you. 2 to go. If you need a rest, you take it. And then bring yourself back down. So we're going to move straight into our lower back work here. Come down onto the mat for me. We're just going to give that back a stretch. Taking the block this time, we're going to place our forehead just to the edge and our hands to the side. Now make sure you're in that nice relaxed position. You may find that the block is a little bit too much for you. If you want to use a towel or something to make it a little bit lower, please feel free. So I've grabbed a towel just to show you, sometimes when you're using that, it makes it a little bit lower and a little bit softer for that neck to be in the correct alignment. So I'm going to use that today just to show you the difference. You might want to try that. So we've got them hands at the side, we've got the elbows on the floor. If possible, try and keep that head in line with the spine and core engaged. All we're going to do to start with is take a deep breath in. As you breathe out, you're going to lift that head and chest. Try not to look forwards, try and keep that head in line with the spine. Coming up to just that point where you feel the connection of the back, then breathing in, you're going to come back towards the floor. This is a lovely stretch and warm up for us to get going. So let's take a deep breath in again. As you breathe out, lift up through that head and chest, keeping them elbows on the floor for the moment. You've got that core engaged. Breathing in, you're going to lower. And then this time, if you want to progress, breathing in to prepare. As you breathe out, keep that head in line with the spine. Start to push up through them hands and bring yourself up into a nice long stretch. You might find that you can only go halfway up. Just go to where you feel comfortable. If you can come all the way up, keep that core engaged. Then breathing in, come back towards the towel here. Take a deep breath in again, and as you breathe out, come all the way up with that nice long neck alignment there. I've not looked towards the side once, I'm looking towards my towel, and then bring yourself back down. A very good piece of advice if you do suffer with the neck and you have a little bit of spondylitis or some sort of neck problem, that idea of keeping that head in line with the spine takes that pressure away from the neck when doing the exercises. So keeping that head resting on the floor, we're going to move into our legs here. Core's engaged, legs are lengthened. Now remember, if you need to move the arms back to take the pressure out of the shoulders, you can. Let's take a deep breath in, and as you breathe out, lifting up through that right leg. Nice long strong leg, breathing in as you lower, breathing out you lift the left. Nice long strong legs here. You may need to move them arms about to make sure you've got that correct position for you. If you really do struggle, you can go towards the block again. Really extend them legs nice and long. 2 more singles. Then if you want to progress, I'm going to ask you to take the legs just a little bit wider apart, pull up through that core, and then see if you can go into doubles. Breathe in to prepare, breathe out as you lift. You might find that the legs don't go up as high, but you're really trying to work both sides equally here if possible. If you struggle with this, go back to the singles. Keep that neck nice and relaxed. Breathe in to prepare, breathe out as you lift. Then if possible, take it up and hold. Turn them toes out, heels towards you. Bringing them heels in towards each other if you can. If you find this too uncomfortable, just stick with the doubles. We're really trying to work through that inner thigh here as well, trying to bring them heels together. And if you find this is easy enough to do, bring the heels in, go into the heel beats. Tap, 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 tap. Really try and make that work. The core's engaged, the neck's in line. Use your breathing here and then release. Well done. You should feel that through the back of your legs and bottom, hopefully. So we're going to come up onto our hands and knees. We're going to give our back a stretch before we move on. Hands underneath the chest, knees underneath the hips. Take a deep breath in, and as you breathe out, pull up through that belly button, lift that spine and get that stretch in the opposite direction. Breathing in, you're going to come back to that neutral position again. Notice my head's in line with my spine. As I breathe out, pull that belly button towards the spine. Lift the spine there for me. Get that lovely stretch. Bring yourself back to that box position. We're going into everybody's favourites, press-ups. So press-ups, everybody's favourites. Hands underneath the chest, knees underneath the hips. Keep the belly button pulled in. But what I want you to try and do is just to bring your weight slightly forwards. Because what happens generally when we do a press-up, if we sit too far back and we do this, we're not actually working our chest and back. We want to keep this strong position, bring the weight slightly forwards, and then as you breathe in, elbows go back towards the thighs, breathing out, you're going to push up. Now try not to lead with the chin here, try and use the forehead for me. Breathing in, the forehead goes towards the floor, breathing out, we push up. Elbows going back towards the rib cage or the thigh. Trying to keep that weight in front of the hands for me, so we're actually using the chest and back. I want you to try and do 10 to 15 if possible. If you do struggle and you want to take a rest, please do so. But make sure you don't lose that technique of coming back through the press up. Try and keep it forwards, elbows towards the rib cage, forehead towards the floor, breathing out as you push up. Then if you have finished your set, please feel free to take the arms forwards and try and sit into a lifted child pose, which means bottom stays slightly lifted, but armpits come towards the floor. Keep that belly button pulled in for me if you can. Bring that forehead down towards the floor. Take the pressure out of the neck if you need to. And then release. So we're going to move on to our side leg series. Again, if the block is too high, you can use the towel. I'm using the towel today just to show people it can make a slight difference. Or if you still struggle, you can have the block with maybe the towel just over the top there to bring a bit more height. It's entirely up to you. So we're going to start on our sides here. Feel free to adjust this if you need to. Yeah, you might want that a little bit more height. But what you want to think about is having them hips stacked on top of each other, legs lengthened nice and long, and we're working our core, remember. This is our powerhouse that we have, a 5-inch band of muscle around the front and back of our bodies. We want to get that waist lifted just very slightly here, so we've got that core engaged. Don't over-exaggerate it, just lift it slightly away from the floor. There's that drawing pin there, remember. And if you struggle with the arm coming out in front and this shoulder dropping forwards like this, I tend to just place my hand towards my shoulder so this one stays back. It's entirely up to you what feels comfortable. I'm going to start with our single, so breathe in to prepare, breathe out as you lift. Again, it's not about the height in Pilates, it's about the length of the leg. So do think about that. Nice, long, strong thigh muscles will go into the core muscles and make them work. Breathe in at the bottom, breathe out as you lift here. Think about that bottom waist staying slightly away from the floor. 2 to go. We're then going to go into doubles if we can. Breathe in to prepare, breathe out as you lift. Nice, long, strong legs here. If this gets too much and you feel that you can't do it because you've not done Pilates for a while, feel free to go back to them singles. It's entirely up to you. If you can stick with the doubles, we've got 3 more. Nice, long, strong legs. And then if possible, take it up and hold. If you can go into that progression of that banana split, that top leg comes away for me. The bottom leg stays away from the floor. But again, if that is too much, go back to the doubles or the singles. Breathe in to prepare, breathe out as you lift. 1 more if you can. Then keep them legs together. Bottom leg goes to the floor, comes back up. Working that inner thigh this time. Really trying to extend both legs nice and long. Remember, it's not about the height, it's about the nice, long, strong leg. Breathing in to prepare, breathing out as you lift. Give me 1 more if you can. Then if you can, heels come together, like we did with our back exercise, go into the heel beats. If you find this is too much and it's working here, just go back to doing some of the basic exercises or take a rest. It's entirely up to you. And then release. So just while we're here, we're going to go into our clam. So this time, bring the knees slightly forwards. Still trying to keep this shoulder back. Bottom waist lifted. Balls of the feet and heels together. If possible, breathe in to prepare. Breathe out as you lift that top knee away. Now what we don't want to do is for this hip to drop back. We want to keep them stacked on top of each other. Trying to push the knee towards the ceiling. Breathing in to prepare, breathing out as you lift. And if you do want to progress through this, we can start with the knees together on the floor. Lift the feet, but make sure you've still got that strong bottom waist. Then if you can, you're going to go up into that lifted clam. This brings in the inner thigh a little bit more. If it's too much, you don't have to do it, remember. You do what you can. Go back to the basic if you need to. Free to go here if possible. Pushing that knee towards the ceiling and then bring them knees towards the floor. 1 more exercise is our circles. So we're going to take that top knee away, foot in line if you can, and keep the hips stacked on top of each other. Breathe in to prepare, breathe out as you circle. Try not to make the mistake of sitting back like this. We want to keep them hips forwards so that we've got them hips stacked and we are using our hips and our pelvis here. Breathe in to prepare and breathe out as you circle. We're trying to go for 10 in each direction. If you want to do a few more, please feel free. And then once you've done the 10, we're going to go back the other way. Really try and keep that nice and controlled. Breathe in at the bottom. Breathe out as you lift. Really trying to work through this hip and pelvis if you can. If you have had a hip replacement, please remember you can only circle outwards like I showed you first of all. You don't want to bring that knee back in. Okay, so bring them knees down for me and we're going to move on. So let's come up onto our knees. We're going to do some side stretches here. We get very stiff and very tight, but also very weak in this area. So we need to keep these muscles nice and mobile and strong. So you've got your knees hip width apart, you've got the arms down by your side. I want you to think about the core engagement, but also remember the leg we've just used, because we've just tried to keep that nice and mobile. We're going to use that side first. So if possible, keeping that core engaged, I'm going to ask you to take the arms down by the side, We're going to take a deep breath in, and as you breathe out, lift the arms up towards the side here for me. Arm goes up as you breathe in again, and as you breathe out, just lengthen across to feel that lovely stretch. So let's go through that again if I totally confused you. Breathing in, come back towards the centre. Breathing out, take that arm up and over. Now you will get that stretch through the side of the body. Do try and keep your body lifted up nice and strong, and gradually you might find that hand goes towards the floor that little bit more. Now you can stick with this, or if you need to take a rest, please do so. But if you do want to progress here, just go to where you feel comfortable. But if you can, we're going to take that arm over and take that leg out towards the side. If you struggle with leaning onto that arm, remember you can go into that fist-like position. Do make sure that hand is underneath the shoulder. Now that arm is lengthened, keep the head in line with the spine. If you want to try and make it a little bit harder, we're going to bring that arm back towards the leg as that comes up towards the ceiling. Breathing out as you lower, breathing in as you come up. If it's too much, you can try just by doing the arm on its own or the leg. It's entirely up to you. So if you want to do the leg, you're just lifting that leg. But it is very difficult if you're tight in this area. That's why we did the side stretch to loosen off. One more for me if you can. Arm comes down to meet the leg if possible. And then we come back up. So let's give ourselves a little rest and a stretch while we've just worked really hard. Let's come on to our bottoms. We're going to sit in this nice, long, strong position. What we don't do when we're doing these stretches for our spine is start off in this position. There's no core engagement, everything's dropped forwards. What we want to do is have a nice, long, strong back, remember. Keep that belly button pulled in slightly. And I'm doing the modified stretch to start with because some people do struggle with their lower back. So the hands are by the side. I think we've already done with these in one of my videos already. Try and keep the head in line with the spine. Take a deep breath in to prepare, and as you breathe out, just lengthen them arms along the legs towards the feet. Keep that head in line with the spine and just lengthen that a little bit further if you can. It gives you a lovely spine stretch, but it also stretches across the upper back. Then take a deep breath in again. As you breathe out, pull that belly button in, slide them hands up the side of the calf, come up into that strong position. Breathe in to prepare, breathe out as you pull that belly button in, arms lengthen along the floor, head in line with that spine. Take a deep breath in again. As you breathe out, come back up into that seated position. Now if you do want to progress, you can lengthen them legs out. Place the hands inside the legs here. Core's engaged, remember. Breathing in to prepare. As you breathe out, pull that belly button in. Lengthen them arms forwards. Keep that head in line with the spine. Take a deep breath in again. As you breathe out, slide them hands along the floor. Head comes up last. Nice, long, strong back. Breathe in to prepare. Breathe out as you pull that belly button in. Slide them arms forwards. Keep that head in line with the spine. You may feel a stretch through that inner thigh as well. And then come back up. Only do the progression if you feel you can. You can always stay with the modified spine stretch. And then you can progress from there. So now that we've given our spine a nice little stretch, we're going to roll down onto the floor and do some core work. So bring yourself down nice and gently. Now again with this, sometimes people find this a little bit uncomfortable with their head on the floor, but the block may be a little bit too much. So if you want to, you can take your towel, place it just underneath your head. It just gives you that little bit of cushioning and maybe a little bit of height. It's entirely up to you. Now when we're doing our core exercises, remember we want our core engagement. So I just want you to check you've got that, because if you was to lie here and have your shoulders up by your ears, you've got no actual stability through the middle part of your body. But then if you were to let that belly button drop towards the spine, and just lengthen your hands towards your heels, you will notice you get that more stability through the middle. We want that lower back towards the floor if possible. So we're going to bring our legs up into tabletop. And remember, you can always lift your head to make the exercise harder, but please don't feel you have to. Take the hands towards the front of the knees. We're going to start with single leg stretch. Let's take a deep breath in. As you breathe out, one knee comes in, the other leg goes out straight, and then we change. Now the idea of this exercise is that we keep our head towards the floor if we need to. We keep our back towards the floor and belly button pulled in, but we extend through that nice long strong leg to make the core muscles work. Breathe in to prepare, breathe out as you extend, and if you need to rest, you take a rest when you need to. Because this is the full video, we're going to go straight into other exercises, but if you need to take a rest in between, please feel free. So we're going to keep with these legs, we're going to place our hands on the floor, and then we're going to go into our bicycle movement. Notice I'm keeping my head in a nice strong line with my spine, so that we're not putting any pressure on that neck if you have issues. If you do want to lift the head, make sure it's the core muscles you are using and not the neck. And really try and extend that leg up nice and long for that bicycle movement. It will bring in the inner thigh as well. So bring them knees back to that tabletop position. Now this exercise is called hip twist prep. We're going to run through the prep work first, and then if you do want to progress, you can. So if possible, we're going to use the back of our pelvis here. Keep the belly button pulled in. As you breathe out, we're just going to let our knees drop to one side very slightly, so we rest onto the back of that pelvis. We've got the belly button pulled in. Breathing in, we come back towards the centre. Breathing out, we go towards the other side. Don't go so far that you're putting a strain on the back. Pull the belly button in as you take it over, and feel that you're working through the sides of them core muscles there. Make sure you can control that. Breathe in the centre, breathe out as you take it over. Try to keep the shoulders towards the floor. Use the side of the body here, and notice I'm really nice and controlled as I'm doing this. You don't have to go any further if you don't want to, but some of you I know are a little bit more advanced, so we're going to progress and see how you get on. So if you are going to progress, do make sure you've got a point of contact through that back or bottom the whole time. And if you're not sure what I mean, just watch me first and I'll explain. Breathe in to prepare. Breathe out as you go towards the side. As you extend the legs, you go towards the buttock. Over to the other buttock, back towards the hip, and back towards the centre. So breathe in to prepare. Hip, buttock, buttock, hip, centre. So we're doing that little circle here if we can. Keep it as small as you like. You don't have to make it big to make it effective. Breathe in to prepare. Breathe out as you go into that small circle. There's a point of contact the whole time. And as we're doing this, we're pulling the belly button towards the spine. We're using the core muscles and not putting too much stress on that lower back. If you are feeling that stress, go back to just practicing going from side to side here so that you've got that strength going through the core. If you're finding it easy enough to do, you can try with straight legs. Some of my clients are that little bit more advanced. Take a deep breath in. As you breathe out, drop the legs towards one side. Extend, pull that belly button in. Still got that point of contact as we're doing it. Breathe in to prepare. Hip, buttock, buttock, hip, middle back. Try and use them core muscles to make this work. Try not to use the lower back. We don't want to put any stress there at all. If you find that the legs being straight are too much, bend them back in and go into the small circle. Again, if it's too much, you can just adapt it going from side to side. It's quite a hard exercise to do, so please don't feel you have to rush it. Now while we're in this position, again you're more than welcome to take that rest. If not, bring the toes towards you. We're going to go into one of my favourites, which I call leg press. And with this one, we make sure the heels stay up, they don't go towards the bottom. So the heels are lifted, it's the knees that come into the chest. Dropping them knees in, as we extend the legs out, we pull the belly button towards the spine. So breathing in as you lower them knees towards you, breathing out as you push them heels away. Quite a hard exercise to do if you don't have a lot of flexibility through the back and legs. Just try and make sure you're not bringing the heels down like this. You're keeping them lifted. It's the knees that come in. So we've got one more exercise while we're here. We've got them legs nice and straight. This is called single leg stretch. And what we do is grab hold of the right leg behind the hamstring. Keep the belly button pulled in and see if you can just take this leg down nice and long. Just take it to where you feel comfortable. You don't have to get it all the way towards the floor. You take it to this position if that's where the core is doing the work. Bring that leg back in, grab the other side, pull the belly button in as you lower the leg, and then really try and use that core engagement, pulling that belly button in as you bring that leg back. So we're really trying to think about keeping the leg straight, and as you breathe out, pull that belly button back in as you bring the leg in. Some of you will be quite good at this and you can start to speed it up, but please don't do that if you do not have the core strength. You've got to be able to use the core muscles rather than putting a stress on the lower back. Notice my head's been in a nice long strong line the whole time, easy for me to say. Pulling that belly button in and then bring them knees in. So let's have a nice well-deserved stretch. Lengthen the legs out nice and long. Take the arms above the head. Point the toes, point the fingertips. Take a deep breath in as you pull that belly button towards the spine. Feel that stretch where we've just been using them core muscles. And then as you breathe out, just let everything relax towards the floor. One of my most favourite exercises. Let's do that again. Point the toes and fingers. As you breathe in, pull that belly button towards the spine. And then as you breathe out here, remember, relax towards the floor. So unfortunately, we're going to have to do our other sides to keep everything nice and equal. So we're going to take our block and place it towards the other end, and we'll do our other side leg. So let's do our other side leg. So remember, you can bring that toe in if you need a little bit more height, or you can take the block away. It's entirely up to you. Hips stacked on top of each other, legs lengthened, bottom waist lifted. Remember, if this feels uncomfortable because your shoulder drops forwards, just take the hand and place it on the shoulder. Take a deep breath in, and as you breathe out, lengthen up through that nice long strong arm here. We're trying to keep the core engaged, hips stacked on top of each other. Breathing in at the bottom, breathing out as you lift. Thinking about that nice long strong leg as we do it. 2 more singles if you are going to progress. If not, you can stay with the basics. Breathe in to prepare, breathe out as you lift here. If you do find it's harder on one side than the other, that's very, very common because we generally have more strength or mobility on one side. So please don't worry you're thinking that you're not working the same on both sides. You really are, just one side generally feels harder. And then if you can, take them legs up and hold. Go into that banana split if possible. If you find you get tired doing this and you want to take it back to the doubles or singles, that's absolutely fine. 2 more here if you can. We're going to hold them legs up, go into the bottom leg lower and lift. Again, you might find that one side generally lifts a lot easier than the other. Breathe in at the bottom. Make sure you've got this top leg extended so you're still using that top leg. And then if possible, come up, take the heels together, go into the heel beats. It really does tend to work here, so if you find it's a little bit uncomfortable, just do a few or take a rest. Try and keep it nice and strong, and then release. So the knees come forwards. If you want to take that arm out, you can, or still place it here. Balls of the feet and heels together. Bottom waist lifted. Breathe in to prepare. Breathe out as you lift that knee towards the ceiling. Remember, we're not sitting back onto them hips. We're keeping them stacked, so we're using this big muscle here at the side of the leg. If you want to progress this, remember, we start with the knees on the floor, lift the feet, make sure we got that strong waist underneath, go up into the lifted clam. Breathe in at the bottom, breathe out as you lift, pushing that knee up if you can to make that work that little bit harder. 2 to go here if possible. Keeping that head in line with the spine. Bring the knees back down for me. Take the top knee up with the foot in line. Breathe in to prepare. Breathe out as you circle. Really try and hold on to this strong position. Try not to let that hip drop back so you're sitting back here. Try and keep them hips stacked so you're having to use these muscles here to make them work. We're doing 10 in each direction if possible. Remember, hip replacement, it just goes out like this. If you can, you're going to go back the other way to keep it nice and equal. Generally finding that bringing this leg back in is probably a little bit easier because we've warmed the leg up. If you can't manage the 10, take a rest. Or if you want to do a few more, please feel free. 2 to go if you can. And then release. So let's go up onto our side stretches, like we did on the other side. Remember, the knees are hip width apart, arms down by the side. We've just used this leg, so this is the leg we will be using if we progress. So breathing in, we're going to lift them arms up to the side. Breathing out, we're going to take that arm over the top. Make sure you keep yourself up in a nice strong position. What I mean by that is we're not leaning forwards. Keep them arms nice and long and strong, and try and pull that belly button in as you take that arm over. Breathe in to prepare, breathe out as you take it over. If you find this is too much to do, just take a little rest if you need to. If not and you want to progress, this time we're going to take that arm towards the floor, this arm towards the ceiling, and the leg nice and long. What we don't want to be doing is this forwards with our bodies. We want to stay up nice and tall. If you need to lose the arm and just do the leg, remember you can. But if you want to try the harder position, arm is up and that comes towards the leg. Try to keep that core engaged the whole time. If that gets too much and you have to do just the leg, please feel free. Or if you feel you find this is too much, you go back to the side. It's entirely up to you. And then release. So we're going to do some bridge work to finish and then have a nice little stretch. Very basic bridge here. Again, if you do feel you want to use something to support the head, the block may be too much, but the towel might work for you. I've been trying to incorporate that today just to make it easier for some of you on the neck. Now with bridge, remember, lengthen the arms towards the feet. We're going to start with our prep work as always. I want you to keep the middle back on the floor. Breathe in to prepare. Breathe out as you tilt the pelvis and lift the bottom. And now squeeze the bottom as hard as you can there, just to release any tension that sits above the buttocks. Then breathing in, come back towards the floor. Breathing out, tilt the pelvis, lift the bottom. Squeeze them bottom muscles as tight as you can. Breathing in, you're going to lower. Then this time, as you breathe out, lift them hips and go all the way up into bridge. Try to get that bridge lifted so you're in a nice strong line from your knees to your chest. If you need to bring the feet in a bit closer, please feel free. Now squeeze them bottom muscles there at the top. Then breathing in, as you come back down, you're going to come through your upper back, middle back, lower back, bottom. Breathing out, you're going to push up and squeeze. So breathing in, you're going to come towards the floor. Breathing out, you're going to push up and squeeze. Don't overarch the bridge, keep the belly button pulled in. And if you want to stick with just basic bridge, that's absolutely fine. This is a fantastic exercise to strengthen that lower back, but also work them bottoms and the back of the legs. If you do want a slight progression, I'm going to ask you to take that bridge up towards the top and hold. Now stay in this position if you can. Keep that neck nice and neutral. Keep the bridge lifted and alternate heels. We're going to breathe in to prepare. Breathe out as you lift the right heel. Breathe in as you lower. Breathe out as you lift the left. Trying to keep that bridge lifted the whole time. You might find you need to bring the feet in a bit closer to keep that in that strong position. Try not to drop through the bridge. And if you feel you can progress, we're going to go up through both heels together and then push down through them heels, keeping that bridge lifted. And what I mean by that is a lot of people do this and then do this as they come down through the bridge. We want the bridge up, the heels up, and as you lower the heels, the bridge stays in that strong position. Really works through them bottoms and back of the leg. Then this time, if you can, take them heels up and keep them lifted, and then come back down through the bridge. As you breathe out, push up and squeeze. Really try and make that work. If you find that's a little bit too uncomfortable on them calf muscles at the back of the legs there, do feel free to place the heels down and go back into that basic bridge. 2 more for me if you can. And then we're going to bring ourselves back through the bridge, lower the heels and bring the knees into the chest. Just give yourself a little massage round in one direction, then go back the other way, just to loosen off that back. Then place the feet back on the floor, take the arms out to the side. Have the palms facing upwards if you can. And then if possible, keep the shoulders towards the floor and keep the head looking towards the ceiling. As you breathe out, pull the belly button in and just let the knees drop over to one side. But notice my head hasn't followed, my neck stayed in alignment. So we're not putting any stress through that neck. And then take a deep breath in again, and as you breathe out, pull the belly button in, go all the way over to the other side, trying to keep the shoulders towards the floor and the head in line with the spine, and then bring yourself back towards the centre. So while we're here, we're going to do a little stretch, and then we're going to finish off with a spine stretch again from where we worked earlier. So take the right leg up nice and long. See if you can take hold of the back of the leg, keeping the leg straight. If you do need to slightly bend it, that's absolutely fine. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. And see if you can pull it towards you to get the stretch down the back of the leg. If you can slide the hands up further and bring that leg in, do so, but don't make that foot shake, because once you start to make that foot shake, it's telling you you've pulled that stretch in and you're overstretching. Just ease it in gently for me to get that stretch. Then if possible, take the leg across like we always do. Take the arms through if you can and pull that leg towards you. And just feel that stretch around the hip and pelvis. If you do want to pull it in a little bit closer, make sure the belly button's pulled in and just bring that leg in towards you to increase the stretch. Let's change to the other leg. Take the other leg up nice and long. Belly button's pulled in as you pull it in towards you. Remember, we're not overstretching, we're easing it in gently. Get that lovely stretch down the back of the leg and then drop that leg across for me. Arms go through if they can. Pull it towards you. Keep the belly button pulled in if you want to try and increase it. And then release. Now, if possible, we're going to take our hands behind our thighs and we're going to roll ourselves up nice and gently. If you can't do that, you're going to use your elbows, place the feet on the floor and just bring yourself up. I'm going to turn towards the front just to make it a little bit easier to show you the exercise. You're going to sit onto your block if you want to. You've got that position through the modified spine stretch. If you want to stay in this position, you are more than welcome. If you do want to progress it, you're going to take the legs out nice and long, but you're going to make sure you're sitting up nice and tall. We're not sitting like this, okay? We've got that belly button pulled in, we've got that chest lifted, but again, if you do need to do this, it does make it easier. Now, all I'm going to ask you to do is take your hands across your chest like this, keep the belly button pulled in, and see, if possible, when we go into the stretch, if you can lift up through the shoulders, keep the belly button pulled in and the head facing forwards. All I'm going to ask you to do is to gently rotate to one side with the head still facing forwards, then come back towards the centre, go towards the other side, come back towards the centre and relax the shoulders down. So we're not relaxing into this position. We're sitting up tall, belly buttons pulled in, heads facing forwards. Take a deep breath in as you lift the shoulders, belly buttons pulled in. Rotate to one side as you're looking towards the front. Come back towards the centre. Rotate towards the other side. Come back towards the centre and bring the shoulders down. One more time with the straight legs. Sitting up nice and tall, shoulders come up, belly buttons pulled in. You'll feel that through the rib cage, through the back of the rib cage, possibly towards the bottom of it. Feel that stretch as you keep that head forwards and then bring them shoulders down. Now we're going to let the arms drop towards the side and we're going to give this neck a lovely stretch, okay? Because what happens is we get a very tight stretch, a very tight neck at the back here when we hold a lot of stress and tension. So the belly button's pulled in, we're sitting up nice and tall. Lead with the chin. So breathing in, you're going to drop the chin towards the chest without dropping that chest and shoulders. Only to the point where you feel you can control it. Then take a deep breath in and as you breathe out, lift the chin towards the ceiling. We've still got that chest and shoulders in a strong position. Breathing in, we're going to lead with the chin as we drop towards the chest there. Keep that belly button pulled in, spine nice and long. Take a deep breath in and as you breathe out, lift towards the ceiling. It's a lovely stretch through the back of the neck. One more time, take a deep breath in and as you breathe out, drop the chin towards the ceiling. Towards the chest even, sorry. Take a deep breath in and as you breathe out, lift with the chin. Come back towards the centre and release yourself towards the floor. So take that block away. We're just going to finish here with a nice stretch. Arms towards the side. Take the right arm up towards the ceiling. You've got this hand resting on the floor. Just lengthen over to get that stretch where we worked today through the waist. Come back towards the floor here if you can. Other arm goes up. Lengthen up for me. Take it all the way over there. Belly button's pulled in, remember. Arm comes back towards the floor. So we're going to take our hands towards the side here. We're going to come up onto our hands and knees. Now we're going to come up through the roll up, but I want you to do this time with bent knees, okay? So keep the belly button pulled in, walk the hands back towards the knees, roll back onto the heels, move your block out of the way, but keep the knees soft. Now walk the hands in towards the feet, belly buttons pulled in, but keep them knees soft if you need to, coming up towards standing position. So we're going to just do that one more time. Drop the chin towards the chest, pull the belly button in as we slide our hands back towards the floor. Hopefully you'll notice there's more mobility through them spines and stretch through the legs. Bend the knees for me, keep the belly button pulled in, start to come up with them soft knees there, just to support that back that little bit more, and then come up to standing. So let's come back towards the front, readjust ourselves, feet facing forwards, we're going to remobilise. We're going to sit down into that squat, nice long strong arms to remobilise through the shoulders, heels on the floor for me. Really get that stretch through the back of the legs. 2 more for me if you can. Then this time, take that deep breath in, arms come up, hold it here, belly buttons pulled in, remember, right arm goes up higher, left arm goes to meet it. Open them fingers, give them a well-deserved stretch as you bring them arms back down. One more time, arms go up, pull that belly button in, left arm this time, right arm to follow, open them hands, arms come back down here for me. Give me a circle through the right shoulder and the left like we always do. Right arm goes all the way back and the left here. Bring that right arm forwards and the left. Give yourself that well-deserved clap. Hands and feet, give them a little shake there to wake them all up. I want to say thank you for joining me again. I hope you all keep well and safe, and hopefully I'll see you soon.